Hey there, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. I've got a few more things to do, tasks to accomplish for the spring garden, and I thought if you'd like to hang out, we'll go divide some tomatoes and plant some plants and just enjoy the spring garden. Let's go. Well, I'd been waiting for this section of my garden bed to open up. I had some turnips here. Well, I've harvested those, I've put on a nice layer of compost over the soil, and for my spring plant I've got a spot for 2 more tomato plants. So I'm going to put in these 2 tomato plants here, an indeterminate and next to it a determinate, and I'm going to plant those up. I'm going to plant some cucumber seeds today. It's nice and warm, time for those to get in. And I'm going to show you how to divide tomato seedlings that I started quite a while ago, and I'll talk about those when we get there. They're stunted. I don't know if they're going to make it, but we got to try. I like to put my tomatoes 3 feet apart, generally at a minimum. That'll be about actually 2 feet. But this way I go 3 feet. Just makes me feel better about how close they are. It keeps the airflow open. Yeah. All right, we're going to put this bush determinate. It's called a bobcat. Put this guy right here. Real simple like. We'll plant the other one right over there and water them in, and we'll be growing some bobcat tomatoes. Never had that variety. Never even heard of it. You know, I did not amend the hole like I intended to. Well, I'm not going to dig it up, but I'm going to take some of this IV Organics 3-in-1. This is not 3-in-1. IV Organics All-Purpose. I get their product lines mixed up sometimes. And just scratch that into the surface here. This is a slow release organic fertilizer, and I really like IV Organics and what they're doing over there. In fact, if you'd like to get 10% off of your IV Organics order, any of their products, use the code Gumbo10, and Charles over there will knock 10% off your order. They've got excellent products, and I've been using them even before I teamed up with them and became an affiliate. I use their products because I like their products. Now on this one I'm going to pinch these lowest leaves off so we can plant this one deeper. That does not hurt your tomato. This is a Cherokee Purple. We'll have to keep this one well pruned and trained up. A trellis of some sort. Let's put some slow release in there. Just about a tablespoon, a little more than that. And then what I like to do is just mix it in with the soil a bit. You don't want this stuff, directly in contact with the roots. And we're going to mound up the soil around that. There we go. This one's already got some flowers on it. That means when it's that small and it's already flowering in the pot, it means it's a little bit stressed. All right, well there's our garden bed down here complete. Already got some pepper blossoms coming on over there. That's encouraging. Down on this end of the bed, I'm going to put some cucumbers in, and we're going to put them up a trellis. Phoebe, look out, there's ants. Get. Dumb dog. You covered in ants down there. Great. Far ants. Lord help us. All right, I better move quick then. I'm going to put in a row of cucumbers going this way. Just get me a little trench in this freshly prepared soil. Doesn't have to be much. So I'm going to put a cucumber row there, and I'm going to put one here, and we will put a net trellis over these. Now, in my property, the sun transits across my yard this way, so these won't be shading each other out. If I put my trellis this way, then the rows might shade one another out, and we don't want that. I've grown cucumbers in this manner in this garden for years with great success. Now, the variety I have is called Max Pack, and it is a hybrid from Johnny's Seed. It's supposed to perform well. And we're going to put them in this row here carefully, because there's not a lot of, I don't have a whole bunch of seed here. I don't have a lot of margin for error. I'm going to put them about 6 inches apart. cucumbers grow well for me here, but they don't last into the summer. They give in to the heat, diseases, and sometimes the cucumber bugs get to them. Okay, cover these over with some fine material, or some coarse material, I guess, and we're off growing cucumbers now. All right, cucumbers. Now, to finish off this garden bed, I've got a space right here, about 6 feet worth of garden. And while you can't see it in the frame right now, I've got some radishes that need to be harvested to make room for the remainder of the plan. Here's the plan. I'll put it on the screen. You can see I got a couple rows of cucumbers here on this end of the bed. We put our tomatoes down on the other end of the bed. And I'm going to fill in with peppers and tomatoes because that's what I like to grow. Over here on my seed starting station, I have my indoor started tomato seedlings. Now, I started these back in January. You'd think they'd be 3 feet tall by now. Unfortunately, we had a late season freeze, very late season freeze, and the room in which these were growing stays kind of cold, and it stunted these tomatoes. Well, I didn't give up on them. You can see that some of them are in really bad shape in terms of they're just stunted. These have started to catch up a bit. I brought them outside and began hardening them off, about 3 weeks ago. And being outside in the sunlight, given a little bit of fertilizer, really helped these. So now I'm going to show you how to pot these up and separate them out real easy. I'm going to take some potting mix, some basic potting mix. I like this Kellogg's brand. And I'm going to mix in a little bit more perlite. I like a lot of perlite in my potting mix, and this just doesn't seem to have enough in there. Perlite gives aeration and helps the soil, especially if you're going to grow something in a potting mix permanently. It helps avoid compaction because perlite doesn't break down. So everything around it will break down. All the organic stuff will slowly break down, but that perlite will help maintain the structure of the soil, at least a little bit. So let's mix some perlite in there. Now try not to breathe in this perlite dust. It's basically volcanic glass, and it doesn't break down, like I said, and you don't want it in your lungs. So try, if you can, not to breathe this stuff in. Let's see what half a bag looks like when we mix it in. Now you can get different grades and coarseness of perlite. If you check with your local aquaponics supplier, they have different grades. Fine, coarse, medium. Yeah. All right. I'm going to be potting the seedlings up into these little nursery pots. These are real handy. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one plug out. I've got my plug puncher 5 million here. I'm going to take this little batch right here. We're going to pop that plug through the hole in the bottom, loosen it up, and they just come right out. You can see the roots down in there. Now I'm just going to slowly tease this whole block apart until I have my individual plants. Just like that. All that's just going to fall loose. Put it in our potting mix there. Until I can grab individual plants, just like that, with their roots. Now that's what we'll be putting in a pot. Here we go again. Tease these apart. I've already got 5 of them from one of the other plugs separated and potted up, but I want to get a few more for insurance. There we go. Because I want these to grow well. They produced through the summer for me, so even though I'm a little bit late getting them in, getting them started, and they are stunted, I think we'll be able to get them grown up enough to bear some fruit. So, real easy. Make a hole in your potting soil, drop your seedling and its roots in and kind of push it down in there. Push the soil around and you're done. Craig LaHoulier, who wrote the book Epic Tomatoes, which is basically the Bible of tomatoes, he does it like this. He lays them on the surface and he shoves them in with his finger just like that. That's all there is to it. Tomatoes are tough plants. They're much tougher than we generally give them credit for being. And with this fluffy soil, let's get those roots there. With this fluffy soil, you can just push them down in there like that, and they'll do fine. This is one of my favorite parts of growing tomatoes, is actually potting them up. I enjoy the whole growing process, but this is the milestone I look forward to. It's when I can take my seedlings and get them growing in earnest. Especially these stunted little dudes here. Yeah, we want to give them a good chance to recover, and so I think that's what we're doing here. All right, I need labels for these so I don't forget, because I'm going to pot up some other tomatoes and they all look the same when they're sitting there without a label. I don't know how many times I have forgotten what a tomato plant was because I didn't label or I misplaced the label. So I'm going to make sure I do that this time. Look out, Phoebe. Look out. You're going to get wet. There's the 5 that I potted up the other day. Give them a little drink. They're in a different soil. They're actually in a coarser garden soil. By the way, if you saw my latest question and answer video, I think it was in that video, I potted up a trimming off of one of my tomatoes to show that you can take the cuttings, your prunings, anything you cut off a tomato, you can pot it up, and though it will look a little limp for a while, they'll grow for you. And if we dig that out, you'll see that there's roots growing down there, and we got us a whole nother tomato plant. Just wanted to make sure you saw that it works. I've got some Everglades tomatoes. I want those to grow. Let's see if we can't get our hole maker, or hole puncher, our plug puncher, 5 million here, to give us some Everglades. All right. Keep my row marked so I know what I've got. Let's see if we can get us some Everglades. Now these took a long time to come up. See if I can tease them apart. There's 2 little bitty guys right there. There's a little guy right there. These just feel so dainty and small, but I know this is a very vigorous grower. You just let these Everglades tomatoes just sprawl, and they put on these tiny little marble-sized tomatoes, and they seem to do really well in the heat of summer. I hope so. This is the best looking plant of them all. I did not think these were going to come up for me because it took a good month for them to show above the soil after I planted them. There's one. And to be honest with you, I don't know where I'm going to put these, but I'm going to put them somewhere. I got to keep this Everglades going, so I'll have the seed for when I need to keep some seed. I've had a hard time getting these Everglades tomatoes to grow. I got some seeds from a friend in Hawaii who had some. Thank you, Dana. I think it was Dana that sent those to me. And I got some seeds from David the Good, directly from the fruits off of his plants when I went and visited. And those didn't come up for me either. And I don't know why. Finally, I ordered some more seeds from Daisy the Good from her Etsy store. And that's these that came up. There's a tiny, tiny little plant. I think we're going to plant this one here. This is in better shape. All right, so we've got 4 Everglades here. And that tiny one I'm going to sacrifice to the ground. And we're going to separate some more here. You know, I think I want some of these carbon tomatoes. They're supposed to be good for growing in the heat. So we'll poke a plug here. Take a look at this carbon. Yeah, I have to save some of these brandy wines. This is seed that I've saved. Suddath's strain, which is supposedly the original. How many we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. We'll save those 5. I'll get a couple from this batch too. Just kind of pull these apart. These are in there tight. Come on, fellas. I just need a couple more. There's one. There's one. It's not so great. There's one that's got some good roots. Brandywine is supposed to be one of the greatest tasting tomatoes on the face of God's green earth. I tend to agree they're right up there with the best of them. The thing about Brandywines I've experienced is that they don't grow as prolific as you'd like them. You get some big fruits, but not as many as you'd like. Hey, I'm glad you guys enjoy these just hang out and do stuff videos as much as you like the how-to videos. My channel's doing really well, and I appreciate all the subscriptions. We're about to hit 200,000 subscribers, at which point we'll do a live stream and celebrate and hang out together. I always enjoy live streams, and I think I'm going to start doing more. So that's 6. No, that's a big chunk in there. Get out of there. That's 6 now. Yeah, somebody's going to get some of these plants at church. I can't take not planting those up. Well, there's the fruits of our labor. A whole bunch of tomato plants. Those are the ones we started, those bigger ones right there. Those are the ones we started outdoors from seed, just in the sunshine. Yep. Hopefully all those others will catch up. Guess whose birthday it is? Today is Phoebe's 7th birthday. She's 7 years old. 7 years. Well, Phoebe, you're about halfway there, huh? All right, we've got to pot up our pepper plants next. We've got a lot of different pepper varieties, and we'll do that in the next, in an upcoming video. Well, hey, thanks for joining me on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. If you'd like to learn more about growing tomatoes, I did a video. I'll link it right there, and I invite you to go watch that one. Talks about all you need to know to grow tomatoes. And obviously, there's a lot you can know about growing tomatoes, but that video is designed to show you how you can grow tomatoes without all the expensive equipment. It's actually pretty easy, so go check that out. Hey, thanks for joining me on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening and spending time letting me rant in your ear and talk away. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening to you. Bye-bye.